May 1977, NBC Studios, Burbank, California. The famous Tonight Show theme echoed through the studio as hundreds of audience members settled into their seats. They had come expecting another entertaining evening with Johnny Carson, the undisputed king of late-night television. Carson had interviewed presidents, movie stars, athletes, comedians, and musicians. But even for him, tonight felt different. Because sitting backstage were two men whose reputations had become larger than life. One was Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight champion who had transformed boxing into global entertainment. He wasn't just an athlete. He was a cultural phenomenon. His confidence, humor, and ability to command attention made him one of the most recognizable people on the planet. The other was Clint Eastwood, Hollywood's silent warrior. While Ali dominated boxing rings, Eastwood dominated movie screens. Millions knew him as the tough, fearless hero who rarely backed down from anyone. One man talked endlessly. The other barely talked at all. And now, for the first time, they were about to share the same stage. As the cameras rolled, Johnny Carson walked onto the set to thunderous applause. After delivering his opening monologue, he began introducing his guests. The crowd cheered loudly when Clint Eastwood appeared. But when Muhammad Ali stepped onto the stage, the noise reached another level entirely. Ali waved to the audience like a politician greeting supporters during a campaign rally. Some audience members even stood to applaud. Carson laughed immediately. "Ladies and gentlemen, if the applause gets any louder, I might lose my own job." The audience erupted with laughter. Ali pointed toward Carson and replied instantly, "Johnny, don't worry. I'm too pretty to be a talk show host." The crowd loved it. Within seconds, Ali had taken control of the room. Eastwood sat beside him smiling quietly, almost amused by how effortlessly the boxer could entertain people. Carson noticed the contrast immediately. On one side sat perhaps the loudest celebrity in America. On the other sat one of the quietest. The difference created instant chemistry. Carson began by asking Ali about life as heavyweight champion. Ali leaned forward. "Life is wonderful when you're the greatest." The audience laughed. "Everybody knows me. I can walk into any country in the world and people know who I am." He paused dramatically. "Even Clint knows who I am." The audience exploded. Eastwood nodded. "That's true." The simplicity of the answer somehow made it even funnier. For the next several minutes, Ali entertained the audience with stories about training camps, championship fights, and encounters with fans around the world. He described traveling overseas and being greeted by enormous crowds. He talked about children wanting autographs. He talked about opponents trying to intimidate him before fights. And every story somehow became funnier than the last. Ali had a gift. Even when he wasn't telling jokes, people laughed. Meanwhile, Eastwood watched quietly, occasionally smiling as Ali turned ordinary experiences into comedy routines. Eventually Carson shifted the conversation toward Eastwood. "Clint, you've spent years playing tough guys in movies. Does it ever bother you that Muhammad Ali probably thinks he could beat every character you've ever played?" The audience laughed. Eastwood smiled. "He's probably right." The crowd roared. Ali slapped the arm of his chair. "I know I'm right." More laughter. Carson sensed an opportunity. "What if Clint challenged you to a boxing match?" Ali grinned. "A boxing match?" He turned toward Eastwood. "Clint, I beat you so fast you'd think the fight happened yesterday." The audience erupted. Eastwood remained perfectly calm. "That's why I wouldn't challenge you." Again, the crowd laughed. The contrast between the two men was fascinating. Ali's personality filled every corner of the studio. Eastwood's personality worked in the opposite way. He didn't need to dominate conversations. His calmness made people pay attention whenever he spoke. Carson understood this perfectly. He let Ali provide the fireworks while allowing Eastwood's dry humor to land at exactly the right moments. As the interview continued, the discussion became more serious. Carson asked both men about success. Specifically, he wanted to know how they handled pressure. Ali answered first. He explained that confidence was essential. You have to believe you're the greatest before anyone else does. The audience applauded. Ali said that most people fail because they doubt themselves. According to him, confidence wasn't arrogance. It was preparation meeting opportunity. If you trained harder than everyone else, believing in yourself became easy. Eastwood listened carefully. Then Carson asked for his perspective. Eastwood offered a completely different answer. He said success came from consistency. Not excitement. Not attention. Not fame. Just showing up every day and doing the work. The audience nodded. It was a simple answer, but it carried weight. Eastwood had built his career through persistence. For years, Hollywood executives had doubted him. Many critics thought he would never become a major star. Yet he kept working. Movie after movie, year after year. Eventually, the results spoke for themselves. Ali respected that. And for a moment, the conversation became less about boxing and movies and more about determination. Both men had reached the top of completely different industries. But the principles they described sounded remarkably similar: hard work, discipline, self-belief, persistence. The audience was watching two masters discuss what it takes to become extraordinary. Carson then asked whether fame had changed their lives. Ali laughed. Of course it changed my life. The audience laughed with him. I used to walk down the street and nobody noticed me. He pointed toward the crowd. Now everybody notices me. Eastwood nodded. He understood exactly what Ali meant. Both men had experienced life before fame and life after fame. Neither reality was entirely simple. Being famous brought opportunities, but it also brought constant attention. People watched everything. Every decision. Every appearance. Every mistake. Carson steered the conversation toward sports and movies. He asked whether either man had ever considered switching careers. The audience laughed immediately. Ali pretended to think. I could be a movie star. He turned toward Eastwood. I already look better than most movie stars. The audience erupted. Eastwood didn't miss a beat. That depends on the lighting. The studio exploded with laughter. Even Ali couldn't stop laughing. For several seconds Carson was unable to continue because the crowd was cheering too loudly. Moments like that defined the interview. There wasn't genuine hostility. There wasn't real competition. Instead, there was playful respect. Two legends testing each other's wit. Ali attacking with humor. Eastwood countering with understatement, and Carson sitting in the middle enjoying every second of it. As the segment approached its conclusion, Carson reflected on how unusual the evening had been. Here were two men who represented different versions of American success. One conquered sports. The other conquered Hollywood. Yet both had become international icons. Millions admired them. Millions copied them. Millions wanted to know their secrets. The audience sensed they were witnessing something special. Not a fight. Not an argument. Not a controversy. Something better. A conversation. A genuine meeting between two cultural giants at the peak of their fame. When the interview finally ended, the applause was enormous. Ali stood and waved. Eastwood thanked the audience. Carson shook both of their hands. For viewers watching at home, it felt like a once-in-a-generation television moment. Years later, people would still remember the chemistry. Muhammad Ali's endless charisma. Clint Eastwood's effortless cool. Johnny Carson's masterful ability to bring out the best in both. Three legends. One stage. One unforgettable night. And for a brief moment in May 1977, boxing, Hollywood, and late-night television collided in a way that only The Tonight Show could make possible.